Good morning. This is Norma Cowie with Norma Talks. I trust you're having a great day where you are. Here, we've been having beautiful, warm weather. I've been able to sit out in the evening and read my book, and it's just how I love it. I absolutely love it. My flowers are flourishing, and I feel really good. Now, during the week, I was having a conversation, and the word affirmations came up. And it made me realize that I haven't, spoken about affirmations for some time. And to me, when I'm working with my clients with transformation work, it's one of the things that I do is I introduce them to affirmations. Now, whether they do them, I don't know, but I let them explain how they can work. You see, when I first started learning about affirmations, I was basically taught 2 or 3, 4 of them. And we just said the affirmation, and I'm just going to give you one that I found was really, really important. I love me. And it was actually the first course I ever did where we went inside and began to transform things. It was the beginning of my transformation journey, actually. And so anyway, we would say, I love me. Didn't think too much about it. I used it, and there was a couple of other ones we did as well. And then one day I began to be aware that every time I said, I love me, a voice in my head told me, no, you don't. Or who do you think you are? All those little weedy, I call them weedy voices that said things about what I wasn't. And so I began to form an idea that the important thing was clearing those voices and releasing those. So I began to do that. When I heard a voice that wasn't supportive of I love me, I would pull it out, I would clear it. And as time went on, I became really good. I could say I love me, and my system it seemed to me just to be good. Then one day, I happened to have my hands on my knees. Now, I've had a lot of knee issues. I've had surgeries on both knees, and I actually probably need another one on one of them, but I've been putting that off. And I said again, I love me. And the old weeds, the old thoughts, the old patterns came up again. And that's when I realized that different parts of our body holds different things. So I began to work, putting my hands on my head, on my shoulders, on my tummy, on my hips, on my knees, on my ankles, on my feet, saying this list of affirmations that I had by that time. And every time there was an anti-thought, I would pull it out, transform it, so that I was eventually able to say the affirmations at any part of my body, and it was quiet. Now, at first, I'd never heard of this, but then I read it in an affirmation book. Right at the very end of the book, very close to the end, there was one sentence that said, the power of affirmations is getting what does not support it. One little sentence validated what I was finding that I had found out. So I felt really good about that. Now, I also want to say, if you're really interested in receiving a sheet which explains this with all what I call Loving Self Affirmations. I used to have CDs on this. I used to sell and give away, but I am quite willing to email you a sheet that has quite a list of different what I call Loving Self Affirmations. So you can contact me through the website, just normacowie.com, and there's a contact letter there. You can contact me through there, and I'm quite willing to email you a copy of that. Affirmations go along with our growth process because we do need to affirm the sense of who we want to be. And I'll say who we want to be, because most of us want to be loving, or we want to accept love, or we want to know that we're worthy. We want to know that we deserve. All of those words are part of the pattern of you growing into being who you truly, truly are. I find that I use affirmations quite often for myself, yes, but also for my clients, because it's an easy way for them to find out what is resisting what's happening to them. What is resisting? And as I've mentioned, you might be clear in your head, but other parts of your body won't be. No matter how your childhood is, very often many of us had physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, perhaps a parent died, maybe moved from household to household. There's so many different stories that you hear. And all of these have an effect on the physical body as well as our mental and emotional body. And that's why knowing and being able to say, put a hand on, hold your shoulders and say, I love me, and have all of a sudden your head saying, no, 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 no. Well, it's coming from here. So it's like being aware that you yourself, it's like a beautiful crystal that you're clearing the crystal. How, if you have crystals at all, very often you put the crystals out in sunlight or moonlight, or you bathe them in salt or whatever. So how do we clear and cleanse ourselves very often is incredibly important. I've always used affirmations for myself, and I know I've spoken about this a couple of other times, but it seemed appropriate once more to address this element, that the true value, according to me and some authors, is the value of what does not support the affirmation, and clear that. And in the clearing element, that's what becomes really important. See, I have a little technique I teach my clients I call it for FER. So when you have a thought that you do not want to support, or it is not supporting your goals, you freeze that, you evaporate it, and then you replace it with what you want. Energy needs to be replaced. Very often people do a lot of releasing, but they forget that when you release something, you leave a hole, and what the body will do will replace it with what it knows. So when you evaporate it, you must replace it with something. You must replace it with a thought that supports what you want, or you replace it with an energy that, and that's why we use love a lot. A lot of us use love. We replace it with love. So it fills up. So you're taking away, but you must replace. And I find also very often people who have been with other practitioners don't always know that, or don't always do that. And so they wonder why they seem stuck, like this thing keeps repeating. Why is it repeating? Because it's not being changed. It's the same way as we do an affirmation. We're clearing out that which does not believe in it. When we have a thought, when we clear the thought, we need to replace it with what we want. And we dig deeper and deeper into the subconscious. Subconscious is subterranean. I'll tell you, there's so much down there. And it takes the time to get down into that subconscious and pull those deep, deep weeds that keep producing thoughts that maybe you don't particularly want in your life, or you don't want to reflect that into your world. So it's a food for thought. It's a food for thought as to where and what and how everything is being and going and working. So I really want to thank you for watching weekly, or going back and looking at some of the older talks that I've done. I really want to thank you for subscribing, because the numbers have getting higher, and I appreciate that. So when you subscribe, that helps me. And also if you ring the bell, excuse me again, you will be notified that when I'm coming on, because I am on 3 times now a week. Wednesday morning with a bigger talk, Sunday morning with a Sunday thought. I'm usually I do that live, and I'm usually on air between 9 and 10 on Sunday mornings. And then on Monday night at 7, and that's always at the same time, I do the mental mind treatments. And that, I find the views are growing on that. But if you really have an issue, you can email me before 6, actually, because I've got to make sure I've got everything, all my ducks in a row before I begin. But you also can come on and live, click it in, chat with me, put down what you want. And the views on that, again, they're beginning to grow as well. So I really, really appreciate what you're doing. So I just want to really, I can't even say the word this morning. I would like you to email me if you have a topic that you really would like to talk about. I may have talked about it because I've been doing these talks now for over 2 years. I may have talked about it, but nothing like a fresh approach. So please let me know that. And remember the basic affirmations. I love me. I trust me. I am loved. I am lovable. If you can practice those and clear out from the different parts of your body any kind of a thought that says that is not true, then you're going to find that you're going to feel better. You're going to be able to do better in life, and all will work well. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for your subscriptions, your comments, your viewings. I appreciate everything. So you have a great day. Bye now.